lights. So you have a deck shuffled, and then you turn off all the lights in the room. And so you do this at home. You don't do this professionally or whatever. You turn off all the lights in the room.
I don't know. I work a lot of restaurants where I can just make them just shut off all the lights whenever I want.
Right.
Hello and welcome to a Penguin Magic Top 10. My name is Eric Tate. I'm the host of the Penguin Magic Podcast, and with me today is Josh Birch. Josh, I understand you are a big fan of the Encyclopedia of Card Magic.
I am.
What is it that you like so much about the Encyclopedia?
Yeah, it is just, it's encyclopedic. There's just so much inside. There are hundreds of magic tricks that you can learn. Everything uses a deck of cards. It has some chapters on gimmicks and gaffes, and a few other things on just some of the classic card tricks out there.
It's definitely one that's been on my shelf for quite some time, and I know that I've picked up a couple of tricks that I still do to this day out of it. Let's get right into it. Hit me with your top 10 tricks for the Encyclopedia of Card Magic. Let's go with number 10.
Number 10 is the easy card to wallet.
Now, I think there's a couple of different card to wallets in the Encyclopedia of Card Magic. Which one is the easy card to wallet?
The easy card to wallet is one that is a card to wallet that you can perform with just an absolutely normal wallet. You can wrap it in a rubber band if you'd like, and you can make that card from basically any deck appear inside the wallet. It can be signed.
Is it like pretty easy, or is it one of the more challenging things in the book?
It's just like the title says. It's a piece of cake to do. There's no palming and things. It uses.
So that was what I was trying to get at here. Was like, is this one of those card to wallets that requires palming, and that's why you can do it with any wallet, or it's got a real clever method that just eliminates palming?
Yeah, super clever. So you do need a jacket. That's one of the things that you need to wear. And if you're performing in cold weather, or if you're performing professionally,
I know which one this is now, and it has a very, very satisfying secret to it. I totally understand why that would be there. It's a very strong starting position, and it's a really strong starting trick for number 10. So I'm excited to see what you put above that. Hit me with number 9.
Number 9 is Just Think.
I'm not familiar with Just Think.
Yeah,
maybe I'm not remembering it correctly. It's
a mental piece of card magic. So basically, in this effect, you have them think of a card, any card. And the method is so clever that they just think of the card, they pull it out of the deck, and you're able to name what the card is through another process.
Are we getting into sort of like variations on equivoque, or?
It's a psychological method. So if you're interested in like the work of Peter Turner or the work of some of his other friends and things that use these like super psychological methods, this is a psychological method that works. It's more surefire than a lot of the stuff that we're releasing today, talking about today.
Yeah, so this is, yes, it's a psychological method, but it's definitely a process that's getting you to that card quicker.
Right,
and in a more 100% works kind of way.
Yes, it's not 100%, but yes, it's a little bit more surefire than some of the methods that you see today. Sometimes people are dreaming up things that may not actually work in the real world. This does. I've used it, and it's a ton of fun. It's another one of those things where the method is almost more interesting than the effect itself.
That sounds really cool. I'm interested in that effect. I do like sort of the think of card tricks, and as I sort of as my hands begin to fail me as I get older, I want something that's going to be. I'm just kidding. I love that stuff. Yeah.
You can do this effect with. It doesn't take in shuffled borrowed deck. You can use a shuffled borrowed deck. So
that's awesome.
If you are nervous about that, which I know you're not, but if you are nervous about something that's going to take a lot of manipulation, this is an effect that really doesn't take a lot of manipulation.
Sounds like a super strong trick. Let's move on to number 7. What's at number 7?
Number 7 is naming cards in the dark.
Okay, is this the type of trick that's like sort of related to calling cards, where someone grabs a group of cards out of the deck and then you're naming them while your back is turned, or is this something totally different?
Kind of. It's a casual piece of mentalism that you can do with a deck of cards. So you have a deck shuffled, and then you turn off all the lights in the room. And so you do this at home. You don't do this professionally or whatever. You turn off all the lights in the room.
I don't know. I work a lot of restaurants where I can just make them just shut off all the lights whenever I want. Okay, so you're at home. They turn off the lights.
You're at home. Yep. And the person has a deck of cards, your spectator or whoever's with you has a deck of cards. They hand you a bunch of cards, and you name every single card that they hand to you. And you can turn on the lights in between, but or you can just have everybody blindfolded or something. The lights is a really fun way to perform kind of this casual effect. It's they can turn off the lights in between, or you can just spout off all the cards that they named or that they handed you. And then when you turn on the lights and you verify what cards you have in your hand, it matches every time.
That's cool. Does it involve like a secret light source, or is it like an even more diabolical method than that?
No, it's more simple
Yeah?
than all of that. But it's the perfect kind of thing. If you perform a lot for friends and family, they can get really handsy and really in your face, and they can be a real pain to perform for. This is the perfect thing that doesn't make you feel like a magician. It's a little bit more casual. Well, you have to perform it casually. And it's something that can be very, very powerful.
I really like a lot of the stuff in the Encyclopedia of Card Magic and like how simple it is. Like even though like these methods have stood the test of time because they work so well and because they're simple. Like complex isn't always better. All right, let's keep it going. Let's move on to number 6.
Number 6 is the double card prediction. Now, the first effect in the book is Twin Souls, and this is kind of a classic effect.
A lot of people do Twin Souls.
A lot of people do Twin Souls. A lot of people like Twin Souls. To my personal tastes, it's a little convoluted for the effect that it produces. I actually prefer the double card prediction. The method and the effect, I think, are a little bit more streamlined, especially for a modern audience.
And is this with this sort of double prediction? Are we like making things appear inside of envelopes, or are you able to call the cards? Or
it's very similar to an effect like Twin Souls, where you have 2 spectators select a card, and then you're able to determine what cards they selected. So if you're familiar with Twin Souls, it's kind of this effect that you can do with a borrowed deck that is strong. But I just think that
this is just deeper in the book and a more clear, clean version than Twin Souls.
Right. It's buried in there a little bit. It takes a little bit more study to get to it. I think one of our tendencies with a book like this is to read the first couple of effects, get really excited, and go, "This is a great book."
And then you sort of skip through all the rest of it.
Right.
And get into it. Yeah.
If you like Twin Souls, you'll probably like this as well.
All right, strong effect. Getting into the top half now, so there's better be some strong ones. Otherwise, you're going to have an easy card wall. It's going to have a lot to answer for. Hit me with number 5.
Number 5 is the perfect force. It's called the perfect force in the Encyclopedia of Card Magic, but you might recognize it as the Christ force, or I believe it's the 104th card force. Are you familiar with that at all?
No, I actually am. I may be familiar with it by a different name, but I'm not familiar with these because I know, we're always looking for better forces. How what does this force look like?
Yeah, so it's hands off. It's it does require a gaff, but basically you place the deck on the table. You can hand it to your spectator. You don't even have to touch it. They cut the deck. They turn over a section, and then they roll. They move down to the first face-down card in the deck.
So we just filmed a lecture with Doc Hilford, who teaches a variation on this force that is super deceptive, but I do like this force that uses this particular gimmick. I do know exactly what this is now, because it without giving too much away, it uses a double backer.
Yes.
And it is a very clever use of a double backer that like really throws people off, because I think a lot of people would look at this and think, oh, this is very obvious on its face, or that it's very similar to like the cut deeper force, but it's not. It is a very deceptive way to use a double backer to force a particular card.
Right. One of the things that I love about this effect is when we talk about forces, if we can take the cards, our spectators are familiar with this move, right? Here, pick a card, any card, right? And they might even be familiar with the idea of a force, where you're going, here, take a card, and the magician makes you take a card. So at least for a layperson, when you just say, here, you're going to handle the deck, and you give them the opportunity to change their mind, so what you can do with this, right? If they cut somewhere, and they don't like that section, then they can cut a little bit deeper, or they can cut a little bit less. It does need to, you brought up the cut deeper force. We should probably make the distinction. The cut deeper force, you cut the deck twice. You cut the deck, flip it over.
With this, what's nice is it's just once.
You cut once, and wherever you cut, you say, okay, that's where you want to cut. Okay, turn the deck over. and then you can say, I'm not even going to look at the deck.
Yeah.
I just think that it's so powerful. It uses the double backer. It's in the section of double backers in the Encyclopedia of Card Magic. It's just so deceptive. And it's so hands-off. It makes it super powerful.
Definitely a very powerful force. That even I've seen some people do variants of it on like a Zoom show, like an online show where they can have it there where the audience member can decide how deep they're going to cut into the deck, and so it still gives the audience member that ability to sort of reach through the screen in order to do that. Right. I mean, yeah, I understand why that is closing in on the top spot, but let's get to number 4.
Yeah. Number 4 is one of my all-time favorite self-working effects, Mirror Skill.
Oh yes, Mirror Skill is great.
Yes.
I tell you what, the first time I ever encountered Mirror Skill was when I was filming an effect here in the P3 studios with John Bannon, and it's in his, he has a variation of Mirror Skill in his View to a Skill effect, and he fooled the blazes out of me with it.
Yes.
It is crazy good.
This is
Stuart James' idea, isn't it?
I believe so. I believe so. John Bannon's is actually my all-time favorite version of this effect.
Super good.
It's super easy if you do the classic. The classic is found here, Mirror Skill. This is the type of thing that if you want to fool other magicians who may or may not be in, if they're not interested in kind of the old stuff, then this is something that's going to fool them. You can fool card guys. John Bannon's is great because you can use any shuffled deck, and you just have you have 2 predictions, and you make those predictions. With the classic version, there is just a little bit of preparation.
Yeah, there's some chicanery and sleight of hand involved in order to make the effect happen, but the Mirror Skill principle itself is one of those things that keeps coming up over and over again over the years, where someone finds a really new way to approach it, and it's super good. It's
completely self-working as well.
Yeah.
So what I like to do if I'm doing the original version is I like to pretend like I'm going through the deck and removing the 2 jokers. Those of you who are interested in this or know the effect will understand. If I know that the deck already is missing jokers, then I can do the dirty work out in the open right there at the beginning and remove 2 jokers, place them in your pocket, and now the deck is ready for Mirror Skill. They can shuffle the deck, and you can do an absolutely impossible prediction effect with the deck. It's super good. I totally understand why that's there. That was number 4. Let's move to number 3. Number 3 is reading the cards. Okay. So presumably this is some sort of routine that would give the appearance of fortune telling, but ends up with a magic trick. It's not a fortune telling effect. It's more of they shuffle the deck, and as you go through the deck, you're able to tell them the entire order of the cards. Oh, okay. Now that's a powerful thing. It's sort of like an early Sam the Bellhop almost. Yes, you could call it that. Really, just imagine how powerful it would be to have somebody shuffle a deck of cards and then just name the order of all the cards. Super powerful, yeah. There are several different versions of this discussed in the book, but basically you can go one by one with the cards behind your back. You can put them under the table. You can have the cards shuffled, and you can just name the cards as they go through. It's a super powerful effect. It's one of those pieces if you need to repeat an effect. So there are some kids, some spectators who just want to see it over and over and over again. Yes. This is a great effect. I like those tricks that when you can repeat them over and over again become more and more powerful the more you see them. It's very rare that you need those tricks, but I do understand why this is like definitely up the scale, because having one of those in your back pocket can be crazy valuable. Absolutely. All right, we're getting real close to the top here. Let's hear number 2. So number 2 is the Vernon poker deal. Okay. Now, I've seen the Vernon poker deal. I don't know the inner working mechanics of it, but I do know that it's a beautiful effect. Yes, it's one of those bona fide classics. And there are a few great gambling effects in this book. So the Gambler in Person is one of those effects that I would kind of compare in some ways to the Vernon poker deal. The Gambler in Person is basically the Vernon poker deal, except it's done with a completely shuffled deck. The ending isn't as nice. At the end of the Vernon poker deal, through a series of shuffles and things, you're able to show how you can cheat at cards, right? With this other effect, you just don't produce, at the end of the poker deal, you produce like a real flush or whatever. At the end of the impromptu version, you really don't you produce the best hand.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily.
But producing that royal flush is just the real. I mean, like that really gets lay people every time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, this is it, Josh. Number one, your number one trick from the Encyclopedia of Card Magic. What is it?
Do as I do. And this is.
I'm so disappointed because the easy card to wallet is so much better than Do As I Do.
You think so?
I do. I really think so. But okay, sell me on the fact that Do As I Do is the number one trick in that book, when your number 10 is arguably the best.
You can think that,
okay.
But Do As I Do is a piece of cake.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to do. It's hands off. So this is a trick that I performed my entire career. Mm-hmm. When I was first starting in Magic, this was an effect that I did, right? Just for those of you who aren't familiar, Do As I Do. You have 2 decks of cards or 2 sections of cards. There are a whole bunch of variations taught. I like the first one, but there are a whole bunch of variations taught. You have a deck of cards, I have a deck of cards. I shuffle the deck, you shuffle the deck. We each select a card, and those cards happen to be the same card. This is why I think it's the best. It is the first effect that I did, and somebody thought that I had powers from the devil.
I think that is fair, because Do As I Do is super powerful. I mean, a version of Do As I Do fooled Penn and Teller with Copycat from David Parr. I do a Do As I Do in my card set and my stand-up routines. I mean, it is a super powerful effect, and it is one of those things that lay people just love. I legitimately do understand why you have it at number one, even if I do think that Easy Card to Wallet should be at number one.
Easy Card to Wallet has we might point this out. Yeah. Easy Card to Wallet has a great method, and you go, oh man, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Do As I Do is the opposite.
Yes.
The method is lame, but something about the method. I have taught lay people the principle behind it. It uses the key card, if you're familiar with that. I've taught lay people the principle behind it, and I've turned around and I've done Do As I Do, and it masks that principle well enough that I go, yeah, that just uses the same thing that you just did. And they go, yeah, but I shuffled the cards, and I did this, and I transferred the cards.
Totally flies by them.
It's one of those old classics that I think if you haven't done it a long time, you should do it. And if you have been doing it for a long time, then you know that it works. It's a great effect.
It really does. It's a very strong effect, and I totally understand why it's at the top. Josh, thanks so much for joining me here today. If you are interested in finding out more about the Encyclopedia of Card Magic, you can pick up your copy at penguinmagic.com.
This is just my top 10. If we missed your favorite effect in the Encyclopedia of Card Tricks, I want you to leave a message down in the comments below.
Join us back here next time for another Penguin Magic Top 10. My name's Eric Tate. See you next time.